The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was bigger than most cities. Crystal walls reached up so high that clouds formed near the ceiling. Representatives from 17 different alien species sat in their floating chairs, all looking down at the small group of humans standing in the center. Kim Dae-ho adjusted his simple black suit and looked around the room. He had been Earth's main ambassador for 20 years. His hair was gray now and lines covered his face, but his eyes were still sharp. Next to him stood Park Min-soo, a younger man who carried a small bag of papers and said nothing. "This is your final warning," said Ambassador Kale. The Vraxian was 8 feet tall with 4 arms and skin like purple metal. His voice echoed through the hall like thunder. "Humans will follow our new rules or face war." The other aliens nodded and made angry sounds. The Zenthari clicked their claws. The hegemony of Kaz flashed their bright colors. Everyone seemed to agree that humans had become too strong, too independent. Kim Dae-ho listened to every word. The Bao new rules were simple. Humans could only mine certain metals from certain planets. Human ships could only carry small weapons. Human colonies had to send half of everything they made to the council. Human children had to learn alien languages first, human languages second. "You have built too much," said another alien leader. "You spread too fast across the galaxy. You make other species uncomfortable." "We are being generous," added Kale. "We could have already attacked. Instead, we give you choice. Accept our terms and live under our guidance. Refuse, and 17 species will destroy every human world." The hall became quiet. Everyone waited for Kim Dae-ho to speak. Some aliens leaned forward in their chairs. Others whispered to each other. The tension was thick like smoke. Kim Dae-ho looked at his aide. Park Min-soo gave a small nod. Then Kim Dae-ho did something no one expected. He smiled. "Thank you for making your position clear," Kim Dae-ho said. His voice was calm and polite. "We understand perfectly." He turned around and walked toward the exit. Park Min-soo followed behind him. Their footsteps echoed in the silent hall. "Wait," shouted Kyle. "You must give us your answer." Kim Dae-ho stopped at the door but did not turn around. "We just did," he said quietly. Then they left. The aliens sat in confusion for several minutes. Some argued about what the humans meant. Others demanded they send warships immediately, but Kale raised one of his 4 hands for silence. "Give them time to think," he said. "Fear will make them see reason." He was wrong. Within hours, strange reports began coming from across the galaxy. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, Lee So-young was finishing her daily reports when her communication device buzzed. The message was short and came from Earth. Code 7. Execute immediately. Lee So-young had been the colony administrator for 8 years. She knew what Code 7 meant. She had hoped she would never see it. She walked to her office safe and pulled out a sealed envelope. Inside were simple instructions. She pressed the colony-wide announcement button. "All human residents report to the transport bay immediately. Bring only personal items, leave everything else." The colonists did not ask questions. They had been told this day might come. Within 6 hours, every human on Kepler 442b was aboard transport ships heading toward the outer rim of the galaxy. They left behind fully functioning mines, perfect cities, and machines still running. The alien workers who remained could only watch in shock as the humans disappeared into space. The same thing happened everywhere. On the trade station above Zenthari Prime, Captain Choi Hyun-woo received the same message. He ordered all human ships to leave immediately. The Zenthari tried to stop them, but the humans had already sealed their ships and begun moving. "Where are you going?" demanded the station commander. "Away," Choi Hyun-woo replied over the radio. Then all human ships went silent. On military bases, in research facilities, on farming worlds, in space stations, the pattern was the same. Humans gathered their people and left. They took their personal belongings, but left behind all the technology, buildings and systems they had built. The aliens tried to communicate, but every human device went dark. Ships that had talked constantly on radio channels became as silent as empty space. Colonies that had sent daily reports simply stopped transmitting. Within 72 hours, every human in council space was gone. At first, the aliens celebrated. "Good," said Kale. "They were scared and ran away. Now we control everything they built." But as days passed, problems began to appear. The mining equipment on Kepler 442b broke down. The Zenthari could not fix it because the maintenance manuals were written in human languages they could not read. The computers required passwords no one knew. Trade ships that had followed human-planned routes for decades got lost. The navigation systems used human calculations that other species found impossible to understand. Ships began arriving weeks late or not at all. Agricultural worlds that had used human farming methods watched their crops fail. The growing cycles were too complex. The biological treatments required knowledge that only human scientists possessed. Ani, the military base where humans had shared duties with Vraxian soldiers, defense systems began shutting down. The computer said authentication required in human writing. No one could make them work. Ambassador Kale stood in his office looking at reports from across the galaxy. Every page told the same story. Human-built systems failing, human-designed, processes stopping, human knowledge disappearing with the humans who had it. He tried calling the human embassy on Earth, but the line was dead. He sent ships to human colony worlds, but they found empty cities with no clues about where everyone had gone. "Find them," he ordered his military commanders. "Search every system in the galaxy, but space is vast and humans had disappeared completely. No distress signals, no communication, no trace. They had vanished as if they had never existed." Standing at his window, looking out at the stars, Kale began to wonder if demanding human submission had been a mistake. But his pride would not let him admit it. Not yet. The humans were gone, and the galaxy suddenly felt much larger and lonelier than anyone had expected. 6 months had passed since the humans disappeared. Ambassador Kyle told himself everything was going well, but the reports on his desk said otherwise. The first major problem came from the Zenthari Collective. Their massive mining operation on Titan 7 had stopped working. The giant machines that dug precious metals from deep underground had broken down one by one. "We need the human engineers back," said Mining Director Zeph over the communication line. His voice was filled with worry. "These machines are too complex. We cannot fix them." Kale's forearms tensed. "Use your own engineers. You are smart creatures. We have tried for months," Zeph replied. "But look at this." An image appeared on Kale's screen. It showed a maintenance manual written by Yoon Jae-min, the human who had been the chief engineer on Titan 7. The pages were covered with detailed drawings, notes, and instructions, but half of it was written in Korean characters that the Zenthari could not read. The other half used human technical terms that made no sense to alien minds. Yoon Jae-min wrote these guides over 15 years, Zeph explained. He knew every machine like it was his own child. His notes talk about things like listening to the engine's mood and feeling when the pressure is wrong. How do we understand such things? Kyle stared at the manual. Yoon Jae-min had drawn little pictures next to the mechanical drawings. A smiling face next to properly working parts. A sad face next to broken ones. It looked like a children's book, but somehow it had kept billion credit. Machines running perfectly for decades. "Find other engineers," Kyle ordered. "Hire them from different species." "We have tried," Zeph said sadly. "No one else understands human engineering methods. The machines are failing faster than we can learn to fix them." Similar reports came from everywhere. The hegemony of Kaz had built their farming success on techniques developed by Han Su-bin, a human agricultural expert. She had spent 30 years learning how to grow food in alien soil using Earth methods mixed with local knowledge. Han Su-bin's farm reports were like poetry. She wrote about talking to plants, feeling soil with her hands, and watching how insects behaved to predict weather. Her methods had increased food production by 400% across 12 worlds. Now, without her guidance, the crops were dying. The hegemony scientists tried to follow her written instructions, but they were too vague. Water when the leaves whisper they are thirsty was not something alien computers could understand. Commander Vex of the hegemony military called Kale directly. "Our food production is down 60%, she reported. We may face starvation within a year. Then find new farming methods, Kale replied, but his voice was less confident than before. We are trying, Beck said. But Han Subin's approach was unique. She combined science with intuition. She could look at a field and know exactly what it needed. Our species thinks in logic and numbers. We cannot replicate human instincts. Worse news came from the Outer Rim territories. Pirate attacks had increased by 300% in just 6 months. Space lanes that had been safe for decades were now dangerous. Captain Rowe of the Vraxian fleet brought the security reports to Kale personally. Look at these numbers, he said, spreading data sheets across the desk. The humans were patrolling these areas with only 12 ships. We have 40 ships in the same region now, but the pirates are getting through. How is that possible? Kale demanded. 40 ships should be better than 12. The human patrol ships moved in patterns we cannot understand, Rowe explained. Captain An Dong-hyuk and his fleet seemed to know where pirates would attack before the pirates knew it themselves. They would be waiting at ambush points days early. They stopped attacks that never even started. Kale looked at the patrol reports filed by An Dong-hyuk. The human captain had written things like, pirates will likely try the asteroid belt near Proxima 4 next week. They always hit mining ships after the new moon. But he never explained how he knew this. Did he have special intelligence networks? Kale asked. We have checked, Rowe replied. No special technology, no spy networks, no advanced sensors. An Dong-hyuk and his captains just seemed to understand pirate thinking better than anyone else. They predicted behavior patterns that our computers cannot calculate. More problems appeared every day. Space stations built by human engineers were having system failures. The life support systems made strange noises that scared the alien workers, but the maintenance logs left behind were written in a mix of technical language and personal notes that no one could follow. Check thermal regulator in Section C, one note said. If it sounds like my grandmother snoring, replace the third valve. If it sounds like my grandmother arguing, replace them all. The aliens tried replacing random parts, but the systems got worse. Without understanding what grandmother snoring sounded like, they could not fix anything. Trade routes that had worked perfectly for decades began failing. Human logistics coordinators had planned shipping schedules using methods that seemed almost magical to other species. They somehow knew which routes would be crowded, which would be delayed by solar storms, and which would face mechanical problems. Ships that used to deliver goods exactly on time now arrived weeks late, or not at all. The complex web of trade that connected the galaxy was falling apart without human coordination. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency meetings happened every day. Representatives from different species argued and blamed each other, but everyone knew the truth. The humans had been more important than anyone realized. We should send more search teams, suggested one council member. Find where they went and demand they come back. We have searched everywhere, Kale replied tiredly. It is like they vanished into empty space. Maybe they are hiding in systems we have not explored, said another alien. But deep space is vast and mostly empty. The search teams found nothing but dead worlds and empty space stations. The humans had disappeared completely, taking with them knowledge and skills that the galaxy was only beginning to realize it needed. Late at night, alone in his office, Kale looked at his reflection in the dark window. For the first time since the humans left, he wondered if the Galactic Council had made a terrible mistake. But his pride was still strong. Surely the galaxy's other species could learn to live without humans. They just needed more time to figure things out. He was wrong about that too. 2 years after the humans disappeared, Dr. Vex made a discovery that changed everything. She was not looking for secrets when she found them. She was just trying to understand why the former Earth Embassy building was still running perfectly, when everything else humans had built was breaking down. Dr. Vex was an archaeologist, someone who studied old civilizations. The Galactic Council had hired her to examine human buildings and machines, hoping to find instruction manuals or technical guides that could help them fix things. The Earth Embassy was a simple building made of white stone and glass. It looked peaceful and welcoming, nothing like the war machines the Council had expected humans to build. Dr. Vex walked through empty offices and conference rooms, taking notes about human culture and society. She found normal things at first: desks with family pictures, kitchen areas with coffee machines, meeting rooms with comfortable chairs arranged in circles rather than the rigid rows other species preferred. Everything suggested that humans liked working together and cared about personal relationships. But something felt wrong. The building was too simple for what humans had accomplished. They had been involved in galactic politics for 200 years, but their embassy looked like it was built for basic diplomatic meetings only. Dr. Vex was examining the basement storage area when she noticed that one wall sounded different when she tapped it. Behind a row of file cabinets, she found a hidden door that opened with her security codes. The Council had given her access to all human facilities, so the door recognized her alien identity and opened. Behind the door was a room that no alien had ever seen. The hidden chamber was massive, larger than the entire embassy above. Walls, covered with screens, showed star maps, species profiles, and data streams that were still updating somehow. Computer servers hummed quietly in the background, processing information from across the galaxy. Dr. Vex approached the nearest computer terminal. To her surprise, it responded to her touch and began displaying information in her own language. The system had been programmed to work with any species that found it. What she saw made her feel sick with worry. The computers contained detailed files on every member species of the Galactic Council. Not just basic information like what they ate or how they reproduced. Deep intelligence reports about their military capabilities, economic weaknesses, political structures, and the personal psychology of their leaders. She found a file about herself. It contained her complete life story, her work history, her family relationships, her political opinions, and even predictions about how she would react in different situations. The file had been updated until the day humans disappeared. Subject: shows strong curiosity and moderate analytical thinking, one note said. Likely to discover this facility within 18 to 24 months of gaining access to embassy building. We'll be shocked, but we'll continue investigating rather than reporting immediately to superiors. Dr. Vex realized the humans had predicted she would find this room. She began exploring other files. Captain Lim Sung-ho had been listed as a merchant, trader, but his real file showed he was an intelligence operative. His shipping company had visited every major alien world, not to trade goods, but to study military installations, industrial capabilities, and social structures. Jung Mi-kyung had run cultural exchange programs that brought human students to alien worlds and alien students to human colonies. But the files revealed that these students were actually trained observers who reported everything they learned about alien societies. The humans had been studying the galaxy for 2 centuries, gathering information about every species, every government, every military force, and every economic system. They knew more about alien civilizations than those civilizations knew about themselves. But the most frightening discovery was in a section labeled Contingency Planning. Here, Dr. Vex found detailed predictions about what would happen if humans were forced to leave the galaxy. The files contained precise timelines, showing how long each species would survive without human support. Xanthari mining operations will fail within 6 months due to maintenance issues, one report predicted. Hegemony food production will drop 70% within 8 months. Vraxian military effectiveness will decrease 50% within 1 year due to equipment failures. Every prediction was coming true exactly as the humans had calculated. Dr. Vex found video recordings made by Kang Tae-young, who had been listed as a trade advisor but was actually the head of something called the Human Strategic Planning Division. In the videos, Kang sat in a simple office and spoke calmly about humanity's place in the galaxy. "We have always known this day might come," Kang said in one recording. "Other species see our success and become jealous. They see our independence and become fearful. They see our growth and become angry. So we have prepared for the possibility that they might try to control us or eliminate us. We have made ourselves essential to galactic civilization, not through force or threats, but through competence and reliability. We fix their machines because we understand technology better. We coordinate their trade because we think in complex systems. We patrol their space because we understand irregular warfare. We grow their food because we see connections between soil, weather, and living things that they miss. If they force us to leave, they will learn the difference between symbiosis and dependency. A symbiotic relationship benefits both sides equally. Dependency means one side cannot survive without the other. In another video, Kang explained the human evacuation plan. Every human facility has been designed for rapid abandonment. Every human citizen has been trained for emergency departure. We can evacuate entire colonies within hours, leaving behind functioning infrastructure that will break down over time without human knowledge to maintain it. We will not destroy anything. We will not attack anyone. We will simply leave, and reality will teach them what they have lost. Dr. Vex watched dozens of these recordings. The humans had spent decades preparing for this moment. They had studied every possible scenario and planned their response to each one. The most chilling video was Kang's final message, recorded just days before the humans left. By the time someone finds these files, the damage will already be visible, he said. Alien leaders will be wondering why their technology is failing, why their economies are struggling, why their defenses are weak. The answer is simple. For 200 years, humans have been the invisible foundation holding galactic civilization together. We never asked for credit. We never demanded recognition. We simply did what needed to be done. Now they will learn to do it themselves. We hope they succeed, but we doubt they will. Pride makes learning difficult, and they have too much pride to admit they need us. Dr. Vex turned off the video and sat in silence for a long time. The scope of human planning was incredible. They had prepared for forced departure like other species prepared for war. She knew she should report this discovery immediately to the Galactic Council. But as she looked around the room full of secrets, she realized the humans had been right about her personality. She was too curious to stop investigating. She spent 3 more days exploring the hidden facility, learning secrets that would terrify the galaxy's leaders. When she finally left to make her report, she understood that the humans had never been junior partners in galactic civilization. They had been the senior partners all along, and everyone else had been too proud to notice. Dr. Vex's report sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council chambers. Ambassador Kale read it 3 times before he could accept what it meant. The humans had not been lucky or naturally gifted. They had been planning and preparing for 200 years. But by the time the Council understood the truth, it was already too late to stop what was happening. The hegemony of Kaz was the first major civilization to face complete collapse. Their industrial centers, which had produced 60% of the galaxy's manufactured goods, were shutting down one by one. The factories had been designed by Oh Byung-ho, a human engineer who had worked with the hegemony for 40 years. His manufacturing processes were incredibly efficient, but they required constant small adjustments that only he had understood. "The machines make wrong products now," reported factory supervisor Jen to the council. "We follow the instruction manuals exactly, but something is always wrong. Too hot, too cold, wrong pressure, wrong timing." Oh Byung-ho's notes were full of comments like, "Increase temperature by feeling, not by numbers," and "Listen for the third, harmonic before adjusting flow rate." The alien workers had no idea what these instructions meant. Without Oh Byung-ho's intuitive understanding of the manufacturing process, the factories produced defective goods or broke down entirely. The hegemony's economy crashed as they lost export contracts across the galaxy. The Vraxian Empire faced even worse problems. Their mighty war fleet, feared throughout the galaxy, was becoming a collection of floating junk. The Vraxian warships used advanced technology that pushed the limits of physics. The engines, weapons, and defensive systems required maintenance procedures developed by Chief Engineer Seo Dong-jun, over 30 years of experience. "Our ships are dying in space," Admiral Kor reported to Kale. "The main engines work for a few days then stop. The weapon systems overheat, the shields fail during basic tests." Seo Dong-jun had trained dozens of Vraxian engineers, but they had only learned to follow his instructions, not to understand the principles behind them. His maintenance procedures required making decisions based on subtle signs that alien minds could not perceive. "Human engineering is not logical. Admiral Kor explained. Seo Dongjun would look at an engine and know immediately what was wrong, but he could never explain how he knew. He would say things like, "The harmonics feel off," or "The energy flow looks unhappy." The Vraxian engineers tried to solve problems using pure logic and mathematics, but the human-designed systems had been built to work with intuition and experience. Without human insight, the greatest military force in the galaxy was becoming helpless. Food shortages spread across multiple worlds as human agricultural methods failed without human guidance. The techniques developed by experts like Han Subin could not be replicated by following written instructions alone. On the farming world of Kepler 186f, alien agricultural specialist Tem stood in a field of dying crops and tried to understand what had gone wrong. Han Subin's reports say to water when plants look thirsty, Tem said to his assistant. But how does a plant look thirsty? She mentions feeling the soil's mood and listening to root conversations. What do these words mean? Han Subin had somehow known exactly when to plant, when to harvest, when to water, and when to let fields rest. Her methods had seemed like magic to alien scientists, but they had worked perfectly for decades. Without her knowledge, crop yields dropped to dangerous levels. Worlds that had fed millions now struggled to feed thousands. Starvation became a real possibility for the first time in centuries. The Council sent desperate exploration fleets to search for any trace of humanity. They needed the humans back, but they could not find them anywhere in known space. Captain Rex led the largest search mission to the far edge of the galaxy. His orders were simple: find humans and convince them to return. But after months of searching, empty systems, he found only abandoned colonies and mysterious messages. On the mining world of Proxima 7, Rex discovered a perfectly preserved human settlement. The buildings were intact, the machines were still running, and everything looked like the colonists had just stepped out for a moment. In the colony administrator's office, Rex found a message left by Ryu Yunhai, who had managed the settlement for 15 years. To whoever finds this, the message read, "We have gone somewhere you cannot follow. We built this colony with our hands, our knowledge, and our dreams. We are proud of what we accomplished here. The Council demanded we submit to their authority and accept their limitations. We chose freedom instead. If you want to understand why, try to keep this colony running without us. Good luck." Rex and his team tried to operate the colony's systems, but everything began breaking down within days. The environmental controls malfunctioned. The mining equipment stopped working. The food production systems produced nothing but spoiled crops. The same pattern repeated on every abandoned human world. Perfect cities that became ghost towns within weeks of human departure. Advanced technology that became useless without human knowledge to maintain it. The worst discovery came when the Council's own computer networks began failing. Every major information system in the galaxy had been built on foundational programming code written by humans like Nam Wu Jin. Nam Wu Jin had been the galaxy's leading expert on artificial intelligence systems. His programming code was used in everything from traffic control to military defense networks, but his code required regular updates and maintenance that only he had understood. "The AI systems are degrading," reported Chief Technology Officer Czar to the Council. "They make mistakes now. Traffic systems send ships to wrong destinations. Military computers calculate wrong battle strategies. Financial networks lose transaction records." Without Nam Wu Jin's updates, the intelligent computer systems that controlled galactic civilization were slowly becoming stupid. Critical decisions were made based on flawed calculations. Communication networks dropped important messages. Transportation systems sent people and goods to wrong locations. 5 years after the human departure, the galaxy was falling apart. Species that had once dominated star systems now struggled to maintain basic civilization. The proud Vraxian Empire had lost 7 of its 12 core worlds to economic and social collapse. Ambassador Kale sat in his office reading the latest disaster reports. Industrial production down 80%. Food shortages on 43 worlds. Military effectiveness reduced to pre-spaceflight levels. Communication failures increasing every day. On his desk was a stack of requests from species leaders begging him to find the humans and negotiate their return. The same leaders who had demanded human submission 5 years earlier were now willing to offer anything to bring them back. But the humans were gone, vanished beyond the edge of known space. And each day without them, the galaxy became a little more broken, a little more desperate, and a little more aware of what it had lost. Kyle looked out his window at the stars and wondered if the humans were out there somewhere, watching the civilization they had once supported crumble into chaos. The thought filled him with a mixture of fear and regret that grew stronger every day. 5 years had passed since the humans disappeared and the galaxy was dying. Ambassador Kale stood in what had once been the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. Half the floating chairs were empty now. 7 species had lost their governments to economic collapse. 3 more had retreated to their home systems and cut off all contact with the outside galaxy. The crystal walls that had once reached up to the clouds were cracked and dark. The maintenance systems had failed months ago, and no one knew how to fix them. The proud symbol of galactic unity was becoming a ruin. Kale himself was a shadow of his former self. His purple skin had turned gray with stress. 2 of his forearms hung limp from injuries sustained in riots on his home world. The Vraxian Empire, once the most powerful civilization in the galaxy, now controlled only 3 worlds. "We must try, again," he said to the few remaining council members. "Send another search mission to the Outer Rim." "With what ships?" asked Commander Vex of the hegemony. Her bright colors had faded to dull brown. "We have 12 functioning vessels left in our entire fleet. The others are floating dead in space." "Then I will go myself," Kale declared. "I will find them and bring them back." The other aliens looked at him with pity. Everyone knew the search missions had been failures. The humans had not just left the galaxy, they had vanished as completely as if they had never existed. But Kale was desperate. His pride had started this disaster, and his guilt was driving him to the edge of madness. He gathered the last functional Vraxian ship and a crew of volunteers for one final mission to the Galactic Rim. They followed energy signatures and old trade routes, hoping to find some trace of human presence. For weeks they found nothing but empty space and dead worlds. Then at the very edge of known space, their sensors detected something impossible. "Sir," reported Navigator Lin, "I am reading massive energy signatures from the Kepler 1649 system, but that system was supposed to be empty." Kale ordered the ship to investigate. What they found changed everything they thought they knew about the universe. The system was full of ships, not dozens or hundreds, but thousands of vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were sleek and graceful, made of materials that seemed to bend light around them. They moved in perfect formations that made even advanced Vraxian warships look clumsy by comparison. "Those are human ships," whispered Chief Engineer Pon, "but they are not like any human technology we ever saw." The human vessels were clearly more advanced than anything the galactic species had built. Their engines left no exhaust trails. Their hulls showed no signs of wear or damage. They moved through space like living creatures rather than machines. They evolved, Kale realized, with growing horror. While we were falling apart, they were growing stronger. A communication signal reached Kale's ship. The voice that spoke was calm, familiar, and filled with quiet authority. "Ambassador Kale," said Kim Dae-ho. "We have been expecting you." Kale's hands shook as he responded. "Kim Dae-ho, you must return to the galaxy. Our civilizations are collapsing. We need your help." There was a long pause before Kim Dae-ho replied. "You declared war on us, Kale. You demanded that we submit to your authority or face destruction. We chose a third option." "We made a mistake," Kale admitted, the words bitter in his mouth. "We were wrong about humans. We did not understand what you meant to the galaxy." "No," Kim Dae-ho said gently. "You understood exactly what we meant. That is why you tried to control us. You saw that we were becoming equals, and your pride could not accept it." Through the view screen, Kale could see human colonies on the planets below, cities of incredible beauty and technology that made even the greatest alien achievements look primitive. Humans had not just survived their exile, They had transcended it. "What do you want?" Kyle asked desperately. "We will give you anything. Full independence, equal representation in the council, access to all our technology. Just help us save what remains of galactic civilization." Kim Daeho's voice was sad, but firm. "We tried to be partners, Kale. For 200 years we worked alongside your species as equals. We shared our knowledge, our technology, our friendship. And when you felt threatened by our success, you chose to treat us as subjects rather than allies." "The galaxy is dying without you," Kale pleaded. "Billions of beings are suffering. Surely you care about their lives." "We care very much," Kim Daeho replied. "That is why we prepared for this day. Every human facility was designed to function. For several years after our departure, every critical system had backup procedures. Every essential service had transition plans. Your species chose to ignore those preparations because following them would have meant admitting you needed human help. Pride prevented you from learning what we tried to teach you." Kyle felt his last hope crumbling. "Then you will let the galaxy die?" "The galaxy is not dying, Kale. It is changing. Some species will learn to adapt and survive. Others will cling to old ways and fall behind. That is how civilization evolves." Kim Daeho paused, then continued in a gentler tone. "But we are not completely without mercy. If the remaining species are ready to treat humanity as true equals, not as servants or subjects but as partners, we might consider limited cooperation." "Yes," Kale said immediately. "Anything you ask. Full equality, equal votes in the council, shared leadership of all major projects." "Words are easy to say when you are desperate," Kim Daeho observed. "Proving you mean them will be much harder." Small human vessel approached Kale's ship. "You may dock with us," Kim Daeho said. "Come aboard alone, unarmed, and ready to discuss terms. But understand this, we are no longer the junior species seeking approval from galactic elders. We have moved beyond that stage of our development. If you want our partnership, you must be prepared to learn from us as much as we once learned from you. Your pride must give way to humility. Your need to dominate must become a willingness to cooperate." Kyle prepared to leave his ship knowing he was about to face the most important negotiation in galactic history. As he walked toward the docking bay, he realized the humans had done something incredible. They had not just survived being forced from their homes. They had used the exile to become something greater than they had ever been before. The galaxy's attempt to diminish humanity had instead freed them to reach their full potential. While alien civilizations fell apart, humans had built something new and wonderful beyond the edge of known space. Whether the proud species of the galaxy could swallow their arrogance enough to accept humanity as true equals remained to be seen. But one thing was certain: the age of galactic dominance over humanity was over. Now it was humanity's turn to decide the future of the galaxy, and they would do so from a position of strength, wisdom, and technological superiority that their former oppressors could barely comprehend. The students had become the teachers, and the lesson was just beginning.